Giganotosaurus is a genus of theropod dinosaur that lived in what is now Argentina during the early Cenomanian age of the late Cretaceous period, approximately 99.6 to 95 million years ago. The holotype specimen was discovered in the Candeleros Formation of Patagonia in 1993 and is almost 70% complete. The animal was named Giganotosaurus carolini in 1995. The genus name translates to giant southern lizard, and the specific name honors the discoverer, Reuben Carolini. A dentary bone, a tooth, and some tracks, discovered before the holotype, were later assigned to this animal. The genus attracted much interest and became part of a scientific debate about the maximum sizes of theropod dinosaurs. Giganotosaurus was one of the largest known terrestrial carnivores, but the exact size has been hard to determine due to the incompleteness of the remains found so far. Estimates for the most complete specimen range from a length of 12 to 13 mm, 39 to 43 ft, a skull 1.53 to 180, mates 5.0 to 5.9 ft in length, and a weight of 4.2 to 13.8 t, 4.6 to 15.2 short tons. The dentary bone that belonged to a supposedly larger individual has been used to extrapolate a length of 13.2 meters, 43 ft. Some researchers have found the animal to be larger than Tyrannosaurus, which has historically been considered the largest theropod, while others have found them to be roughly equal in size, and the largest size estimates for Giganotosaurus exaggerated. The skull was low, with rugose, rough and wrinkled, nasal bones, and a ridge-like crest on the lacrimal bone in front of the eye. The front of the lower jaw was flattened and had a downward projecting process, or chin, at the tip. The teeth were compressed sideways and had serrations. The neck was strong and the pectoral girdle proportionally small. Part of the family Carcharodontosauridae, Giganotosaurus is one of the most completely known members of the group, which includes other very large theropods, such as the closely related Maposaurus and Carcharodontosaurus. Giganotosaurus is thought to have been homeothermic, a type of warm-bloodedness, with a metabolism between that of a mammal and a reptile, which would have enabled fast growth. It would have been capable of closing its jaws quickly, capturing and bringing down prey by delivering powerful bites. The chin may have helped in resisting stress when a bite was delivered against prey. Giganotosaurus is thought to have been the apex predator of its ecosystem, and it may have fed on juvenile sauropod dinosaurs. In 2001, the physician-scientist Frank Seebacher proposed a new polynomial method of calculating body mass estimates for dinosaurs using body length, depth, and width, and found Giganotosaurus to have weighed 6.6 t, 7.3 short tons, based on the original 12.5 mm, 41 ft length estimate. In their 2002 description of the brain case of Giganotosaurus, Correa and Curry gave a length estimate of 1.60 microns, 5 ft, for the holotype skull and calculated a weight of 4.2 t, 4.6 short tons, by extrapolating from the 520 mm, 20 in circumference of the femur shaft. This resulted in an encephalization quotient, a measure of relative brain size, of 1.9. In 2004, the paleontologist Gerardo Fieth Mazzetta and colleagues pointed out that though the femur of the Giganotosaurus holotype was larger than that of Sue, the tibia was 8 cm 3 in, shorter at 1.4 meters, 4 ft call. They found the holotype specimen to have been equal to Tyrannosaurus in size at 8 t, 8.8 short tons, marginally smaller than Sue, but that the larger dentary might have represented an animal of 10 t, 11 short tons, if geometrically similar to the holotype specimen. By using multivariate regression equations, these authors also suggested an alternative weight of 6.5 t, 7.2 short tons, for the holotype and 8.2 t, 9.0 short tons, for the larger specimen, and that the latter was therefore the largest known terrestrial carnivore. In 2005, the paleontologist Cristiano Dal Sasso and colleagues described new skull material, a snout, of Spinosaurus, the original fossils of which were also destroyed during World War II, and concluded this dinosaur would have been 16 to 18 a, 52 to 59 ft long, with a weight 7 to 9 t, 7.7 to 9.9 short tons, exceeding the maximum size of all other theropods. In 2006, Correa and Curry described the large theropod Mapusaurus from Patagonia. It was closely related to Giganotosaurus and of approximately the same size. In 2007, the paleontologists François Thérien and Donald M. Henderson found that Giganotosaurus would have approached 13 temons, 43 ft in length, and 13.8 t, 15.2 short tons, in weight, while Carcharodontosaurus would have approached 13.3 m, 44 ft in length, and 15.1 t, 16.6 short tons, in weight, surpassing Tyrannosaurus, and estimated the Giganotosaurus holotype skull to have been 1.56 m, 5 ft long. They cautioned that these measurements depended on whether the incomplete skulls of these animals had been reconstructed correctly, and that more complete specimens were needed for more accurate estimates. They also found that Dal Sasso and colleagues' reconstruction of Spinosaurus was too large, and instead estimated it to have been 14.3 mgs, 47 ft long, weighing 20.9 t, 23.0 short tons, and possibly as low as 12.6 mgs, 41 ft in length, and 12 t, 13 short tons, in weight. They concluded that these dinosaurs had reached the upper biomechanical size limit attainable by a strictly bipedal animal. In 2010, the paleontologist Gregory S. Paul suggested that the skulls of Carcharodontosaurs had been reconstructed as too long in general. In 2012, the paleontologist Matthew T. Carano and colleagues noted that though Giganotosaurus had received much attention due to its enormous size, and in spite of the holotype being relatively complete, it had not yet been described in detail, apart from the brain case. They pointed out that many contacts between skull bones were not preserved, which lead to the total length of the skull being ambiguous. They found instead that the skulls of Giganotosaurus and Carcharodontosaurus were exactly the same size as that of Tyrannosaurus. They also measured the femur of the Giganotosaurus holotype to be 1.3 4 ft long, in contrast to the original measurement, and proposed that the body mass would have been smaller overall. In 2013, the paleontologist Scott Hartman published a graphic double integration mass estimate based on drawn skeletal reconstructions on his blog, wherein he found Tyrannosaurus, Su, to have been larger than Giganotosaurus overall. He estimated the Giganotosaurus holotype to have weighed 6.8 t, 7.5 short tons, and the larger specimen 8.2 t, 9.0 short tons. Tyrannosaurus was estimated to have weighed 8.4 t, 9.3 short tons, and Hartman noted that it had a wider torso, though the two seemed similar in side view. He also pointed out that the Giganotosaurus dentary that was supposedly 8% larger than that of the holotype specimen would rather have been 6.5% larger, or could simply have belonged to a similarly sized animal with a more robust dentary. He conceded that with only one good Giganotosaurus specimen known, it is possible that larger individuals will be found, as it took most of a century to find Su after Tyrannosaurus was discovered. In 2014, the paleontologist Nizar Ibrahim and colleagues estimated the length of Spinosaurus to have been over 15 meters, 49 ft. By extrapolating from a new specimen scaled up to match the snout described by Dal Sasso and colleagues. This would make Spinosaurus the largest known carnivorous dinosaur. In 2019, the paleontologist W. Scott Persons and colleagues described a Tyrannosaurus specimen, nicknamed Scotty, and estimated it to be more massive than other giant theropods, but cautioned that the femoral proportions of the Carcharodontosaurids, Giganotosaurus and Tyrannotitan indicated a body mass larger than other adult Tyrannosaurus. They noted that these theropods were known by far fewer specimens than Tyrannosaurus, and that future finds may reveal specimens larger than Scotty, as indicated by the large Giganotosaurus dentary. While Scotty had the greatest femoral circumference, the femoral length of Giganotosaurus was about 10% longer, but the authors stated it was difficult to compare proportions between large theropod clades. In 2021, the paleontologist Matthias Rayolid and colleagues compiled various mass estimates of theropods, including Giganotosaurus, to calculate the average, but did not include Therian and Henderson's 2007 estimates of Carnotaurus and Giganotosaurus, considering them outliers. This resulted in a body mass range for Giganotosaurus between 5.5 and 8.5 t, 6.1 and 9.4 short tons, with an average of 6.75 t, 744 short tons. They also applied the skull length and body length ratio proposed by Therian and Henderson and reconstructed various digital 3D models of theropods to measure body mass distribution and volume, resulting in the mass of a 13 ms 43 ft long Giganotosaurus up to 7.2 t, 7.9 short tons. These researchers found the estimates consistent with the values proposed by previous studies. In 2022, Juan Yefi Canale and colleagues described the large Carcharodontosaurid Meraxes, which has the most completely known Carcharodontosaurine skull with an estimated length of 1.27 meters, 4.2 ft. Extrapolating from that skull, they estimated the skull of Giganotosaurus to have been 1.634 meters, 5.36 ft, long, making it one of the largest known theropod skulls. Henderson suggested in 2023 that there was a close relation between the dimensions of the pelvic area and body size in theropods, allowing size estimates for incomplete specimens. Based on this idea, he found Giganotosaurus to have been 12.5 ms, 41 ft long, identical to the estimate proposed in the 1995 description. In 2023, researcher Dan Folks used volumetric analysis, which tends to produce closer estimates with body mass on complete specimens than allometric scaling based on bone-isolated bone dimensions, to estimate the Giganotosaurus holotype specimen was roughly 8.88 t, 9.7 short tons. Giganotosaurus is thought to have been one of the largest theropod dinosaurs, but the incompleteness of its remains have made it difficult to estimate its size reliably. It is therefore impossible to determine with certainty whether it was larger than Tyrannosaurus, for example, which has been considered the largest theropod historically. One of the complicating issues is that substantially more Tyrannosaurus specimens are known to science than Giganotosaurus. Most scientists favor the interpretation that the two genera broadly overlapped in terms of size, Tyrannosaurus being wider and Giganotosaurus being longer, with the two being of comparable mass. Different size estimates have been reached by several researchers based on various methods and depending on how the missing parts of the skeleton have been reconstructed. Length estimates for the holotype specimen have varied between 12 and 13 metres, 39 and 43 ft, with a skull between 1.53 and 180 metres, 5.0 and 5.9 ft long, a femur, thigh bone, between 1.365 and 1.43 metres, 4.48 and 4.69 ft long, and a weight between 4.2 and 13.8 t, 4.6 and 15.2 short tons. Fusion of sutures, joints in the brain case, indicates the holotype specimen was a mature individual. A second specimen, consisting of a dentary bone from a supposedly larger individual, has been used to extrapolate a length of 13.2 meters, 43 ft, a skull 1.95 meters, 6.4 ft long, and a weight of 8.2 t, 9.0 short tons. Some writers have considered the largest size estimates for both specimens exaggerated. Giganotosaurus has been compared to an oversized version of the well-known genus Allosaurus. In 2002, Correa and Curry found that various features of the rear part of the skull, such as the frontward slope of the occiput and low and wide occipital condyle, indicate that Giganotosaurus would have had a good capability of moving the skull sideways in relation to the front neck vertebrae. These features may also have been related to the increased mass and length of the jaw muscles. The jaw articulation of Giganotosaurus and other Carcharodontosaurids was moved hindwards to increase the length of the jaw musculature, enabling faster closure of the jaws, whereas tyrannosaurs increased the mass of the lower jaw musculature to increase the power of their bite. In 2005, Therian and colleagues estimated the relative bite force of theropods and found that Giganotosaurus and related taxa had adaptations for capturing and bringing down prey by delivering powerful bites, whereas tyrannosaurs had adaptations for resisting torsional stress and crushing bones. Estimates in absolute values like newtons were impossible. The bite force of Giganotosaurus was weaker than that of Tyrannosaurus, and the force decreased hindwards along the tooth row. The lower jaws were adapted for slicing bites, and it probably captured and manipulated prey with the front part of the jaws. These authors suggested that Giganotosaurus and other allosaurs may have been generalized predators that fed on a wide spectrum of prey smaller than themselves, such as juvenile sauropods. The ventral process, or chin, of the lower jaw may have been an adaptation for resisting tensile stress when the powerful bite was delivered with the front of the jaws against the prey. The first known fossils of the closely related Mapusaurus were found in a bone bed consisting of several individuals at different growth stages. In their 2006 description of the genus, Correa and Curry suggested that though this could be due to a long-term or coincidental accumulation of carcasses, the presence of different growth stages of the same taxon indicated the aggregation was not coincidental. In a 2006 National Geographic article, Correa stated that the bone bed was probably the result of a catastrophic event and that the presence of mainly medium-sized individuals, with very few young or old, is normal for animals that form packs. Therefore, Correa said, large theropods may have hunted in groups, which would be advantageous when hunting gigantic sauropods. In 1999, the paleontologist Rhys E. Barrick and the geologist William J. Showers found that the bones of Giganotosaurus and Tyrannosaurus had very similar oxygen isotope patterns, with similar heat distribution in the body. These thermoregulatory patterns indicate that these dinosaurs had a metabolism intermediate between that of mammals and reptiles and were therefore homeothermic with a stable core body temperature, a type of warm-bloodedness. The metabolism of an 8T, 8.8 short tons, Giganotosaurus would be comparable to that of a 1T, 1.1 short tons, mammalian carnivore, and would have supported rapid growth. In 2001, the physicist Rudimar Ernesto Blanco and Mazzetta evaluated the cursorial, running capability of Giganotosaurus. They rejected the hypothesis by James O. Farlow that the risk of injuries involved in such large animals falling while on a run would limit the speed of large theropods. Instead, they posed that the imbalance caused by increasing velocity would be the limiting factor. Calculating the time it would take for a leg to gain balance after the retraction of the opposite leg, they found the upper kinematic limit of the running speed to be 14 nEms, 50 km/h, 31 nmph. They also found comparison between the running capability of Giganotosaurus and birds like the ostrich based on the strength of their leg bones to be of limited value, since theropods, unlike birds, had heavy tails to counterbalance their weight. Giganotosaurus was discovered in the Candeleros Formation, which was deposited during the early Cenomanian age of the late Cretaceous period, approximately 99.6 to 97 million years ago. This formation is the lowest unit in the Neuquén group, wherein it is part of the Rio Limay subgroup. The formation is composed of coarse and medium-grained sandstones deposited in a fluvial environment, associated with rivers and streams, and in aeolian conditions, affected by wind. Paleosols, buried soil, siltstones and claystones are present, some of which represent swamp conditions. Giganotosaurus was probably the apex predator in its ecosystem. It shared its environment with herbivorous dinosaurs such as the titanosaurian sauropod Andysaurus and the rebbachisaurid sauropods Limasaurus and Noxus spondylus. Other theropods include the abellisaurid Ecrixinatosaurus, the dromaeosaurid Buitryraptor, and the Alvarez-sauroid Alnachetri. Other reptiles include the crocodiliform Araripesicus, sphenodontians, snakes, and the turtle Procholidella. Other vertebrates include cladotherian mammals, a pipoid frog, and ceratodontiform fishes. Footprints indicate the presence of large ornithopods and pterosaurs as well. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos.